Hey there, bookkeeping side hustle community. We are back for round 2 of our two-part series on marketing for bookkeepers. So this is episode marketing 201, like the college level 101. Now we're at 201. And we're back with Kristen Corey from ProAdvisor Marketing to teach us these more advanced skills. Make sure you watch the previous episode if this is maybe feeling a little overwhelming, because we all start from ground zero. We all need that 101 lesson. Down below in the description, you'll find the replay that we did yesterday, and you'll also find a download that she has put together that's kind of like an all-encompassing download that is a summary, well, actually, I think a more expansive resource on what we've talked about. And I highly suggest getting that because both lessons is too much to do like this month, this week, this month, this quarter. You're going to need to slowly process through it, get through all the stuff that she's talking about. And so that resource will be a way to kind of just keep it in bite-sized chunks. So we are ready for round 2. Yesterday, I don't think I said comment and ask questions. Please do that for those of you watching live. Kristen, she is modern person. She's on YouTube too. She's going to watch these videos like later. Like if we need to tag her and bring her into YouTube comments as well after the fact, we will. So if you're watching this on replay, please comment below. I want Kristen to introduce herself again for those of us who are watching this episode for the first time. Just go ahead and pretend like the folks didn't hear you yesterday and tell us who you are and why how you know about this marketing material for accounting professionals.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks, Kate. So my background is actually in accounting. I started off, I have a master's in accounting. I did public accounting, private accounting. I do not have my CPA license, although I tried very hard. And so prior to ProAdvisor Marketing, I was actually working at a bookkeeping firm, very similar to what everyone else kind of, or around the, I guess, size that I think most of your followers are. But yeah, a while back, my story is I just moved abroad. Very difficult to find jobs abroad. And at the time, bookkeeping online wasn't really a thing, but marketing online was. And so I picked up some marketing skills, came back to the US, and essentially started ProAdvisor Marketing. So yeah, that's kind of my quick story in a nutshell, but it's really why I can talk marketing to accountants. I am very much part of the community. I very much have worked a lot of the similar jobs that you guys have. So I can understand the hesitation and the awkwardness that you can feel sometimes when going into marketing. I'm an introvert through and through, so I totally get it.
I know one of the the lingo and stuff too. I know that one of the best places to follow you is on Instagram, and I see the dates too. The like tax deadline this and tax deadline that and file that because you help us remember like, oh, tell your clients about that. So you got the lingo, you got the calendar, all the good stuff, but you're just helping on the marketing side. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Everything we do is for accountants and bookkeepers. So
okay. Have you lived abroad twice then?
Yes, I have.
Okay, because you're abroad right now because it's the early morning hours in Japan where she is. So we want to say thank you for waking up in the dark.
This is kind of like just part of the job lifestyle, but I lived in France and now I'm in Japan, and so we're just trying to hit all the continents, and it'll be great.
We at the end of our call yesterday, y'all, we had a discussion. My husband flies an F-18 and hers flies a F-16, and they're both awesome. So okay, let's dive in then, guys. If you want to post questions now, we will make sure I kind of know what topics are. So if we need to save them to the end, we will. But if it's appropriate to jump in the middle, I'll ask them then too. So I'm gonna have the screen share come up. And Kristen, take us through Marketing 201.
Yeah. So there we go. So yeah, just kind of, to reiterate, my background's in accounting. I'm going to try my best to really translate this to you guys from marketing to accounting. If you checked my Instagram story yesterday, Kate did a really good job at kind of helping translate anything that maybe wasn't quite as clear. So we're going to go for that again. And actually, let me go back real quick. So in 101, we talked very basic, what are the steps that you need to do day one? You don't have any sort of marketing. how do we just get started? How do we start to build this machine that we want to have going throughout the course of our business? 201 is going to be more about expanding on those pieces that we talked about and kind of answering some questions that you guys had in the Facebook group. So when we're trying to kind of expand on those topics, the first thing that I really think is important to expand on is your brand. We talked about building a website, and I said, don't worry about a logo, don't worry about colors, fonts, use the pre-made templates that they have in your website builder. I think every single website builder has pre-made templates and all those things that you don't have to think about. In 201, we're going to start looking into this a little bit more. And really, it starts with something, again, that we talked about in 101, and that's market research. So you really, at this point, if you're starting 201 or you think 201 is for you, you should have a really good understanding of who you want to work with, your ideal client. That does not mean niche. That just means who you want to work with. Sometimes an easy way to think of this is, okay, who do you not want to work with? And then it's everyone else.
Okay.
I'm sure it's pretty easy to start to think of, okay, I don't want to work with maybe like inventory and sales tax. Or maybe you really like working with people who are in your age. You feel like you're able to connect with them more just through services. Consider
men or women.
Yeah, men or women. That's the thing, is that female entrepreneurs is a really popular niche for bookkeepers. I see a lot of people saying, oh, I serve other moms who are starting their own business, because they can connect. They understand that, hey, I may have a baby crying in the background during our meetings, and you get it. So whoever your niche is, that's okay. If you don't have a niche yet, consider your ideal client. Who do you want to work with? And once you have that established, you can start to really think about your brand. And first area is, what is a brand? And a brand is essentially your business's visual appearance. There is some kind of non-visual elements that go into it, like your vision, your mission, and your values. But for the sake of within the scope of this presentation, we're primarily going to talk about
that's 301. That's 301.
That's 301. Yes, exactly.
You have that whole picture together with vision and all. I mean, you are like, you're running on all cylinders, y'all. We're running on like,
I know.
We can't get a picture to upload to the website. So that's where we are.
Okay. Trying to make sure I scale it. Okay. So yeah, that's 301. Here we're just going to focus on, okay, so you have your website. What is the next step? The next step is we're going to start talking about logos, colors, fonts, and your brand strategy. And when you're trying to think about what colors or what logos you want, you really want to think about who your audience is. What are they attracted to? So we use the example of, okay, let's say, your brand is, or let me use a different example. Let's say you build a brand, so logos, colors, fonts, that's very feminine. It has lots of like kind of whimsical elements. Maybe you use more pastel shades, maybe some script fonts. Those, if you see them, you identify them more as feminine. But then your target audience is construction workers. Like it's probably going to fall flat. And it's great that maybe you like those colors and that's kind of what you're attracted to. But we want to think about who we're working with. And that's kind of just a great example of showing why it's important and how you want to make sure it sticks. And so a great way, again, to do that is with your market research. And when you consider your brand and the fact that it's important, it's really thinking, okay, if I were to go into an interview, I wouldn't show up in flip-flops, right? You would show up looking professional. So we want to make sure we are showing up appropriately for the job.
I have another analogy for that. I heard this guy on Twitter who's very savvy, and there's a whole bunch of really bad old accounting people websites. Like, I think there must have been like a service like 10 years ago where people like made like identical websites, and like I remember seeing them like years ago when I was trying to like, what do accounting websites look like? But he said, if you broke a tooth today, you would quickly go get that fixed. Like, because you look like you got a busted face. It's like, it's unsightly, right? Like none of us would walk around with a busted front tooth for too long. And he says, when you got your busted old website up there that looks like that's what it's like. You're walking into a meeting with like, oh, I didn't take the time to go to the dentist and get a cap on because I got hit by a baseball bat by my kid or something, like, so that's the flip-flop analogy.
That's a great analogy. I really like that one. I like that one a little bit more because I think that's kind of maybe more relatable. It's like, oh my gosh, my tooth is broken.
That's what people are seeing. You're like, hey, I'm Kate and I got no front tooth. Like, we wouldn't do that.
Right. Well, that's the thing is when we'll offer kind of website audits. And it's basically going through your website, providing kind of a design perspective and a tech perspective. And one of the things I do is I check to make sure every button is working. If you just have buttons on your website that are broken, then it's another issue. It's not necessarily just visually, but we also want to make sure everything works tech-wise.
Yep.
So kind of all that being said, this is kind of a very, I guess, theoretical. This isn't very much action steps right here. So the next slide we're going to go into is specifically what is the first thing you should do. And that is to build personas, build brand personas. Now, I don't want this to get too complicated. And we do have a great resource to help you do that. And that's HubSpot's Persona Generator. And I actually, in the download, I share a link to that. You can also just Google HubSpot Persona Generator. And the idea here is to think about the people you want to work with. And so if you are, let's say you're a bookkeeping firm and you provide services to real estate agents, this is usually a very popular niche and kind of fits with these personas. We want to consider the real estate agent and think about them and know them in such detail that we can answer questions that are going to come up in a persona sort of guide. So you're going to be asked questions like, where do they live? Are they in a suburban area? Are they in an urban area? Are they in a rural area? What is their household income? Are they married? Do they have kids? What is their day-to-day like? What are they most stressed about? What is their pain point? What is something that bothers them so much about accounting that they are willing to pay you hundreds of dollars each month to take it off their hands? We want you to know this person super, super well.
Does the HubSpot Persona Generator walk you through answering all that stuff that you just talked about?
Yeah, okay. It does. So it'll walk you through all those questions. And then, just to kind of personalize it, you can delete questions or add questions if you feel like there's some things that aren't being included. But all those questions are included. One great one is asking them, okay, what social media is this person on? If you're trying to feel or provide services to female business owners, like we talked about yesterday, Instagram is going to be a great place for that. And so you can kind of highlight that Instagram is a good platform for them. If you're wanting to work with, doctors and lawyers, LinkedIn may be a more appropriate place for that. So you can kind of highlight which platform would be best, and that can guide you further in your marketing strategy. But the HubSpot Persona Generator. And so when you're creating these, we recommend creating 3. And if you think of it as kind of like your packages, I know some people are for or against packages, but for the sake of building personas, think of it as packages. The first person may be an entry level. So if we consider a real estate agent client, maybe this is the real estate agent who just got started. They aren't really sure if real estate is really what they want to do, but they need your help. They're the minimum price point. Who is that person? Build a persona around that person. The second person, maybe they're in a growing stage. Maybe they're teetering on hiring, an assistant or, another real estate, adding another real estate agent to their practice. And so who's that mid-tier client? Maybe that's kind of your bread and butter and who majority of your clients are. And then we have that dream client. Maybe they're a real estate broker and they have real estate agents under them and they kind of have this whole practice going. Maybe they're not price sensitive and they just want you to take over all of their accounting. So, that's kind of a good way to break it up and really kind of get to know them. And as this can be something that's ever evolving, like your website. Continue to kind of learn and figure out what's right for each of those people. So, yeah.
I was thinking there's probably even some like non-social media places. You were talking about like where do people hang out, and in my mind I'm thinking about like the construction people. Like they don't have time to be on social media. They'll fall off the roof. Like they're at like I don't know, Home Depot at the 7 a.m. run or something. I don't know. So maybe even like just don't limit yourself. Like really think. I when I first started, this never happened. I thought I wanted to serve hunting guides, like people who wealthy people pay to take them on like the 10-day hike to get a bighorn sheep, and you're like hiking forever, and I thought I wanted to bookkeep for those guides, and I was like, I should go to a convention. Like that's what that's where I should have done, is like go to like hunting conventions, because if they don't even have internet, so that never went anywhere, people. But it's an example of like maybe it's not just like, oh, I got to be on Instagram, or my client is on Instagram. Like maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, food trucks is one of a great example of like, Instagram's very popular with food trucks
Okay.
on Instagram, but you can also go to like food truck events. Like they have, I don't know, the things where all the food truck, I don't know what they're
Yeah, yeah,
called.
yeah. Oh,
Like,
those are heaven.
yeah,
Business
great way to
expense
know,
right there. Just
right?
marketing
Right?
expense.
Yeah, can I try this too while you're, checking out my services? Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, you really think beyond it. And I can go into that more, but I'll keep going.
All right.
Slide's gonna change. There we go. Oh, yeah. And then so the next area is to build a brand visually. And we actually got a question in the Facebook group. I want to design an eye-catching logo and slogan, suggestions on what will separate mine from others. So specifically, it's kind of beyond, the scope of this to tell you exactly how to build a logo or what makes a good logo, design-wise. But what I can definitely say is you do want to consider your audience. We kind of going back to that. Who is your audience? What are they going to be attracted to? What do they expect from you? That's going to be really huge. We don't want to just design something that's necessarily for that audience. We want to make sure we're showing up professionally as accountants as they kind of expect us to.
Mhm.
And then the second thing that you want to consider is something that I'm illustrating here with Bookkeeping Side Hustle's website and Facebook group. Um, it may not be apparent to you at first, but it's very apparent to me. They are using consistent colors, consistent fonts. Everything, it goes well together. And here's the reason this is important. We would get asked to do like website audits. I would go to someone's website, I'd be looking through it, and I'd be like, okay, I'll go search for them on social media. I'd look for them on social media, but maybe I would find multiple like bookkeeping firms that had slightly similar names, or maybe they used like a personal photo, or the colors or the logo was different. It made it very difficult for me to know if I was looking at the same practice. And just that alone, when someone's trying to find you online or follow you on social media, maybe they see your website, now it's not the right time, so they just want to follow you for a while. You want to make sure they're going to the right place. And one way to ensure that they do that is by using colors, fonts, imagery that is all very similar. And so consistency is really key in making sure that it's memorable. And Kate actually had a really great point, just talking about how easy it is too, that when you're in Canva, or whatever design software you're using, you really have like colors that you can choose from. Your options, what font options you have. There's no creativity really beyond that needs to go into it. You can pick a template, you can add your colors, add the text, and you're done. And so it makes it also much more simpler to post content on social media and just get it out the door quickly.
Yeah, so, I have the two hats that I wear, the bookkeeping side hustle hat and then my heritage business services hat. And so for bookkeeping side hustle, I did finally have a good friend. I hired her to develop a logo for bookkeeping side hustle and pick. I have three colors that I use. I have like a blue, well, actually two blues, an orange, and a white. And it was so freeing once that happened. And I really wanted to do it because it was the thing that I sell, I guess, is my ebook. And that was like, okay, well, I guess I have a thing that I'm trying to sell. So I keep it really simple because I don't have time to like overthink this. And I'll tell you, I actually use the same fonts on my business website too. So I only use the hustle meet does not mean hobby. That's a funky font that I haven't used in forever. I don't know, that image was kind of, I think I just changed the colors and the actual style of it is an old image, but on my, I use Montserrat, and
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just liked it. And then there was a font called Josephine, which is mine and my daughter's name. And so I picked that font because seriously, because it was called Josephine.
Yeah.
And then for my bookkeeping business, I wanted this concept of a brick, like building, like we're building a legacy.
Yeah.
And I found a brick picture for free that I liked, and it was gray. And so I was like, well, I guess my colors are gray, and I have red hair, so I'll do red. And
Yeah.
but then I stuck with it, and that's all. I don't have to think about it anymore. And like Canva makes it really easy to reuse the same ones over and over. And I think you can go pretty far, y'all, with like three colors, like a white one, a dark, a white, a dark, and then like an accent color that speaks to your ideal client,
Yeah.
whether it's girly or masculine or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's kind of the thing, is like the simpler colors, the better. But oh, you made a good point that I wanted to touch on. I forgot.
Gray, red,
Gray,
same
red.
colors, Canva,
Oh yeah.
Montserrat and Josephine.
Yeah. No, I remember that. So this is 201 not marketing for marketers. This is marketing for accountants. Don't overthink this. This is kind of a building step to, one day when you can outsource all your marketing and, maybe have them take it over. This is just something that you need to kind of get up and running. And like you said, pick 3 colors, make it super simple on yourself. And then once you have that established, you can go to your website builder, add those 3 colors in, and Squarespace at least will auto adjust all the colors and make it all.
Everything. Yeah. I was able to change my bookkeeping side hustle ones whenever my friend Jen gave me these colors. Like I went into the settings and whatever disaster I had picked before, I just kind of updated it and I was like, okay, so there's some blue and some orange like sprinkled out, and all the text color changed. So it was not so bad.
No, it's super easy. So this is kind of the next step in your website. So the next area to go over is email campaigning. So yesterday we talked about just start an email list. We're not talking about email campaigns or sending an email campaign. Just get emails on paper. When you are ready to start sending email campaigns, you do not need to go full force right out the gate. You can start with, once a quarter, once a month. Keep it really basic. You can even do it maybe like during certain points of the year. So, tax season, maybe send one out in December as tax season is approaching. Maybe send another one out, after 1099s are due in early February. You could have these milestones and maybe these goals for like, okay, this is when accounting news is going to be really important to my clients. This is when I think I'll send them out. But it's also good to keep it up throughout the entire year. And a point I made yesterday that I do want to reiterate today is just that whenever someone allows you to enter their inbox and show up, and people read your email campaigns, that's a big deal. People are very territorial over their inbox. They do not want people, sending cold messages. And so for people to open your email, it shows that you have a relationship with them and that you have a chance to build a good relationship. And email campaigning really is one of the best ways to market. And the reason for that is for every dollar you spend on email campaigns, you can expect about $42 in return. It's a great way to create a personal connection.
So how do you spend money on an email campaign? I mean, I have finally had to pay for MailerLite for bookkeeping side hustle because I send that newsletter. But I'm not thinking of that as the same thing as this marketing for trying to get bookkeeping clients. So how would I even start to have a cost to market?
Yeah.
To send emails to people.
Well, I guess kind of in accounting lingo, I can see how like books, like boxes and arrows, how you're thinking, okay, but it's more just like the idea of investing into your email campaigns, starting with a professional email campaign software. We love Flowdesk. They have workflows.
Okay.
They have email campaign tools that make it really easy for you to just have a layout and have that all set up. What I don't mean here is I don't mean, going into one of those people that say, hey, work with us and we can get you all these emails and we'll send out cold emails from you. That's not what I mean. Okay. I mean investing in like an email campaign software, investing your time, and really kind of that sort of an investment is what I mean.
So I would love your feedback on. So I have never done an email campaign to my clients. I almost even was like, maybe I should try to make my Google list since Kristen said to do that yesterday. And I was like, where would I even start? Like, I think I have in Calendly, like people made appointments. And I was like, can I go back and get their emails and start to put them in like a list? Anyway, y'all, I have learned that. So this concept like news updates, that's like a live email. But then there's this thing where you can create an email and it sends a series of emails once someone signs up for something.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me sweat thinking about this, about trying to do this. But I have a resource, a checklist for my FreshBooks do-it-yourself group that I'm trying to build. And we meet every Tuesday and I do this office hours and they want to know like, well, what am I supposed to be doing each week? And so I wrote a checklist, and my friend who's in the group, she's a paying member of the group now, who's a marketer, well, kind of, she's like a creative. She said to make that into a funnel, give the list away, but then create an email campaign that details a little more each item on that checklist.
Yeah.
And so once someone is like, here's a free weekly checklist of how to do your, here's a free weekly bookkeeping checklist for small business owners. And y'all, we could all write that. We could all write it. But
Mhm.
then I might get, I think I have like 8 items on it. So that's 2 months worth of content that, you know,
Yeah.
every Tuesday night, I don't know, it sends, oh my gosh, now I'm sweating picking at what time would I send it. But anyway, the point is, if they ever opt in, it
Yeah.
already does it for, so I only have to, I'm not creating an email for a specific person. I'm writing it once. And so my mind is kind of blown. I kind of set a goal to like try to have it done by the end of March, like this idea of like a funnel, I guess, to a checklist. But that means I'm not writing emails regularly. I'm writing
Yeah.
a series of emails, and it happens magically. So anyway, but I haven't done it myself, but that's like a
Yeah.
thing with emails.
Yeah. No, that is the thing. So here's the thing. We use Flowdesk. We love Flowdesk because it does that where it's you know, like a welcome series, or it'll send a series of emails. But the features, it's a very simple user interface. So you're not have like 10 different buttons coming at you at one time. It's like 4 tabs, and you have to like pick the 4 tabs. It's very like, you have to pick this step before you do anything else. And so we love Flowdesk because it's really easy and super easy to use. And you can create those workflows. And there was something I was going to say. Man, I need coffee this morning.
You're
And so
forgiven. You got to pass.
I was like, oh, come on. But yeah, Flowdesk is great. I will also say Flowdesk, it is a little bit pricier, $40 a month, but if you use an affiliate code, they do give you 50% off for life, which I think is the biggest, it's the greatest affiliate offering out there.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have the affiliate code in our download, but highly recommend
Perfect.
Flowdesk. And so, yeah, you can have like a workflow with that. And like Kate said, you know, news updates, you can kind of think of different things that you want to send. We talked yesterday about if you're building this email list over 18 months, and then you're like, oh gosh, I'm going to email them and I haven't talked to them in a year. You can start that welcome series with the first email being, hey, you know, you've shown kind of interest in our business in the past. We're just reaching out to let you know this is what we've been up to in the past 18 months. Here's what we've done. We'd love for you to continue. We'd love to continue learning about each other. And so there's that. One big question in the Facebook group was, what do you put in email newsletters? A lot of people say you have to have a newsletter or be involved in groups. And then they go on a little bit, but they're asking basically what to include. These are some things that kind of, from an accounting perspective, you can include. Like Kate said, news updates, somewhat difficult because you have to do it fairly like in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
FAQs explained, so frequently asked questions. This is a very big part of kind of our marketing strategy, especially early on. I was in Facebook groups a lot, just trying to figure out what questions do people have about marketing. And then I would make sure I was writing blog posts and email posts about those topics. So try to figure out what questions do people have about accounting, about taxes, about bookkeeping, tips and tricks. So this could be something like app recommendations. Very simple. Events. This doesn't have to be necessarily events that you're doing. Maybe it's events with Gusto, or, you know, events that you think your audience would be interested in. And lastly, resources. So things like, you know, the IRS. I wrote a post on like their tax or with their withholding calculator and different things like that. So
all the apps send out like an updates email.
Mhm.
And that would be a good one to slice and dice. Again, I haven't done this, y'all, but in my mind, but I'm also not trying to be big too. So
Yeah.
the thing that I keep thinking right now, Kristen, is I feel like I'm kind of treading the line between 101 and 201
Right.
because of the size that I'm wanting to be. And so, you know, if you think about like conversion rates and stuff, like
Yeah.
my email list has to be big if I'm going to convert a small percent.
Mhm.
If the percent I'm wanting to convert is a high absolute value number, like if
Right.
my goal is 75, and I'm converting 5%, well, I'm not going to do that math in public, but that email list number has to be big to get to
Yeah.
75. If it's 5, then maybe this isn't the strategy you want to go with, guys. Like it might be better to like go to networking meetings locally in the morning until you get your 5 clients, you know, like I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's just kind of what's coming to mind about the the flow desk and the building the list and the
Yeah.
converting. How many do you want to convert? And keep that in the forefront of your mind, guys. Like that's the business mentality stuff. Your why. Why are you doing this? How much time can you work? So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and then really just two things to say with that is one, people don't know how many other emails you have on your email campaign list. So whether you have one or 30, you can still kind of look professional.
true.
And even with that one email, if you're just, sending one email campaign to one person, it does take a long time to build that relationship. There are some people who have been, I have some clients now who I knew were following us for months before they even reached out to like sort of start to build a connection or start to ask questions. And so it really takes a long time to build that sort of, relationship. And if you start to get, maybe more inquiries than you're ready for, you have two options. You can either, kind of weed out your current client list and say, okay, these clients are not doing it for me. I'm losing money. I don't like working with them, and replace them. Or you can create a wait list and say, hey, we're not accepting any clients right now.
Oh yeah.
How awesome would it be? You have a wait list, or maybe you outsource it to another bookkeeper and you receive an affiliate payment from that bookkeeper for, bringing them clients. There's a ton of things that you can kind of do with that option. And so really kind of the idea here is I want to make sure that I'm providing you with marketing strategies where you're not sending individual messages to individual
Oh
people,
gosh.
because
Yep.
that is time consuming. This, you can kind of talk to a lot of people at one time and it scales with you. Whether you have one email or 10, you're kind of doing the same thing.
Well, and I made a note at the beginning of this call, you used the phrase marketing machine.
Mhm.
And at first I was like, oh gosh, like that sounds like it's something that's gonna, if that gets too good, then I'm gonna have all sorts of other problems. Like I'm gonna have too many clients and sales call.
Right.
Like, but when I think about a machine, I think about an on-off button too. And
Mhm.
so turn it off.
Yeah.
Turn it off
Yeah.
when you are like, no, my kid's starting such and such, or my mother is sick, and this is like, you turn it off, people, and then crank that baby back up. Remove the button from your website and then put it back. I don't know. That was
Well,
so machine sounded scary, but until I thought, there's an on-off switch, that
yeah.
then it's okay to do something professional and robust like you're talking about. And I don't have
Yeah.
to be overwhelmed that like I'm gonna get too many people calling me.
Well,
Also
that's the
never had
thing.
that problem. So
Well, that's the thing is that it's very, very, very few people will have that problem. Usually, if you do get to a point where you have more inquiries than you can take on, I highly recommend starting a wait list and not stopping your marketing, but you can stop the consultations and the
okay.
inquiry.
Okay.
And the reason for that is we actually made that mistake at ProAdvisor Marketing. In our first year, we had a huge influx of people coming in, and I wasn't ready for anyone else. So I stopped marketing. And then when I was ready again, I
Ah,
started again, and my engagement was down. People
yeah.
were, they were unsubscribing from emails because they hadn't heard from me. And it was like, it's a machine, but it also requires momentum.
Okay.
So you can like slow down the momentum a little bit. Maybe you're not doing webinars or things like that, but still continue to just kind of talk to people. Stop the consultations, create a wait list. You can on Flowdesk, you can create a wait list, a workflow where people just go straight into like a whole separate list where you're like people that want to learn about our services, but I don't have time for. You can do that easily. But I do not recommend just stopping marketing altogether. So.
Yeah, she's the one that knows what she's talking about. Listen to her. Don't listen to me.
Oh, no, I totally understand what you're saying though, but the reason that that's what we did too. We did that in the first year,
Yeah.
and I was like, dang it. So, learn from
Don't be
my
scared of the problem that you don't have. I've heard that too. And so here I am like, too many people are gonna call. And it's like, Kate, you've never had the problem in your life. So like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Well,
okay.
yeah, it's honestly, it's a good problem to have, and there are tons of solutions where you're not giving up your time and you can possibly make more money. Like I said, create an affiliate program with another bookkeeper and make some money from them. So,
Right. All right. One
next
more. Here we
area
go.
is ads. So originally, I didn't have this in the presentation, but we got so many questions about ads that I felt like it was important to include. And just to go over this chart real quick before I get into any of the questions that people actually left, we only do Google search ads and Facebook ads. There are a million different type of ads out there. There's YouTube ads, there's Facebook carousel ads, and there's video ads, and there's a ton of ads. These are the two ones that we focus on. I also provide in the download some examples of these so you can visually kind of see. But Google search ads is when you go to Google, you type in something, and it's those first, two results. That's what a
Right,
Google
right,
search
right.
So whenever you are paying for a Google search ad, people are likely looking for your bookkeeping services. That's when you're trying to catch them. They're looking for bookkeeping services near me. That's when your ad should theoretically show up. Facebook ads, this is a little more general, but typically I like to use this when we are trying to just kind of grow our audience. And so we'll do something like, hey, grab this free download of, chart of accounts we suggest for real estate agents or for, whatever your business is. And really the idea here is that a lot of people were asking questions, and sometimes I get the sense that we're buying ads because we want clients now. We kind of think it's like going to be the best way to kind of get things going and get things moving, and I'll get all these consultations. Rarely, unless it's sometimes Google search ads, rarely do people see ads and immediately go and purchase. Even with Google search ads, people want to learn a little bit more about you and maybe, follow you on social media for a month. Here's the thing. You need to realize that kind of if you're going to do ads just to kind of get clients and maybe get a consultation without any strategy behind it, just like posting a photo saying, give us a call, you're going to have trouble making it work. And so really this chart kind of shows the differences between Google search ads and Facebook ads. I want to be mindful of the time, and so I won't go through it in detail.
Is this slide in the download?
It is.
Okay, so y'all just download this and study it. It's definitely 201, y'all. Like, this is not the way to get our first client either, is it, Kristen?
No.
I won't recommend. That's my strong recommendation. What about for me personally? FreshBooks weekly checklist to a funnel, like an email campaign, like a free download. Is that the kind of thing, a Facebook ad type of thing? I've never done that. I would be so scared.
So that's perfect for Facebook ads. Facebook ads, it's where someone sees something, and it's kind of like, it's the start of the relationship. It's the wave. We don't need to start talking consultations just yet. It's like, hey, I exist. Here's something free that you may get some use out of. Here's a webinar that you may find really interesting.
Well, and that's hard because you're spending money. Like, you're listening to this marketing expert say, guys, you're going to spend money, and like, it's going to be a long time before it comes back. And that would have been hard for me to do. Again, this is why this is 201. This is you have the cash flow to support this. Because you have paying clients already, guys. This isn't if you don't have any dollars, this is not the best way.
Yeah, it's very difficult because also it takes time for these programs to learn what works for you. They want people to click on the ads. They very much want clicks. And so they're trying to get their algorithm to pick up what does and doesn't work, who it works, what impressions work. And so there's going to be a trial and error period. And so I did get a lot of questions about ads. I usually don't include it in 201, but it's going to be very kind of difficult to get it up, started and going. You need to have kind of a very flexible budget if you're willing to kind of see, what audiences work and keywords work for your group and all those kind of things.
Okay. So. Well, and again, y'all, she talks about this stuff all the time. She helps us in our Bookkeeping Titles Facebook group, on Instagram, on her account. So this is just the beginning. This is just scratching the surface. Marketing is a skill, just like the first time we were wrestling with undeposited funds in QuickBooks, y'all. Like, it's gonna take time to figure it out. So this is not the only marketing course you need to be listening to, right? Like, there's a lot more resources you're gonna have to use to learn all this.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this is just quick recap: build a brand, start an email campaign. We again keep it really simple. Prepare for your ads. If you are interested in ads, make sure you kind of are open to a flexible budget and consider your strategy. And then lastly, kind of the thing that I keep reiterating through 101 and 201 is make sure you know your audience. Figure out who you want to work with. That does not mean niche. Just figure out who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with.
All right, give us the one. I think you have one last slide. I want to make sure it gets up here of how to find you. So the download resource, y'all, is you can type the URL or just go to the description and click the URL. And then talk about these other two resources you have listed.
Yeah, so the second one is our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/ProAdvisors and accountants. That is really kind of where we hang out a lot online. I do lives every month in there talking about different marketing subjects. People are free to kind of post questions about accounting or marketing, but really it's where we kind of share a lot of resources that we don't share in kind of other parts of the internet. And then
Oh,
lastly,
okay. Okay.
so yeah. And so Facebook groups will do webinars and provide, downloads and things like that. So another good place to go.
Awesome. I'm gonna wrap us up quick, y'all. I don't see any questions on the right side. Nina, if you can't find your download, reach out to Kristen in one of these things, ways to contact her she just talked about. We are going to say goodbye for now. Thank you so much for both of these days that you've done this teaching for us. You're an excellent teacher, and people can tag you in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group or go to your group to get more information. And don't be overwhelmed, y'all. Like, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. Like, this is all learnable, and it takes time, and getting clients is hard, and marketing is hard. So don't feel bad if it's hard for you, and we'll all get better at it. So thanks again, Kristen. All right, bye everyone.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Oh, DM Stellar Services says the downloads are gold. So we'll wrap up with that.
Good.
And everyone will get your download. All right, bye.
Bye.